Hey guys! Today I'm going to review Casino Royale, the 1967 version.
Casino Royale is too much for one James Bond.
Casino Royale came out in 1967 and is a spy spoof comedy. It was released just 2 months before the official Bond film that year, You Only Live Twice. And it's very loosely based on the 1953 Ian Fleming novel Casino Royale, with only the card scenes in the casino similar to the novel. It was previously made in 1954 as a live television adaptation, starring Barry Nelson. And the third version, starring Daniel Craig as Bond, was released in 2006. In this 1967 version, David Niven plays a retired James Bond. The film had a lot of production problems and it had 5 directors: John Huston, Ken Hughes, Robert Parrish, Joe McGrath and Val Guest. Val Guest was famous for doing some Hammer films and he had the responsibility of linking all the segments together to make the film more coherent. Music was by Burt Bacharach. His song, The Look of Love, performed by Dusty Springfield, was nominated for an Academy Award. The same song would also appear in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery in 1997, as well as a cameo by Burt Bacharach. The film's famous for its dispute between Peter Sellers and Orson Welles, which ended up in Peter Sellers getting fired. Sean Connery was asked to star in the film as Bond, and he was offered $1 million to do it, however he turned it down. The film runs 131 minutes and cost $12 million to make. It was a big success and made back $41.7 million. The film stars David Niven, Peter Sellers, Ursula Andress, Woody Allen, Joanna Pettet and Orson Welles. The film also features a load of cameos with a massive cast. So the plot of this one's all about David Niven playing James Bond, who's retired. And he gets these other agents and he also calls them James Bond. So there's a lot of characters called James Bond. So you get actors like Peter Sellers playing Bond. And it's very loosely based on the Ian Fleming novel, Casino Royale. In fact, there's only a few scenes that are similar to that novel, the casino scenes, where Peter Sellers is playing cards against Orson Welles' character, the chief. The rest of the film, the plot, if you can call it a plot, is totally bonkers. The trouble is the film had loads of rewrites, and it caused a lot of problems during the making of it. And because of all the rewrites, the film doesn't make sense. Even though it's a spoof, a comedy, it should still make some sort of sense. So unfortunately it ended up being a mess. And for a comedy, the film's just not funny. And it's far too long, over 2 hours. Which is a pity because it has an amazing cast. And a lot of talented people that was gone to waste during the making of this film. So David Niven's the star and he plays a retired James Bond, who for some reason has a bit of a stutter, at least during the beginning of the film. For some reason, he doesn't have a stutter later on.
There, you're as pink as a baby. Now, turn round.
The lucky bugger. She could play with my bloody rubber duck any day.
That's your vagus vein. That's your articular cartilage. And those are your synovial membranes.
Right.
Hey, I say David Niven's the right age to play a Bond. We all know James Bond's an hard fella. Hey, Phil, it's funny how all these women fancy hard fellas in films. It's a good job this film's not trying to be realistic. And Peter Sellers, he's in the film. He has quite a bit to do during the middle section. Unfortunately, his antics on the film got him fired. And Peter Sellers and Orson Welles didn't get on well together during the making of the film. And they refused to film the scenes together, even though they're supposed to be playing cards against each other. Part of the controversy of the film was the behind-the-scenes drama featuring Peter Sellers. Other versions of the legend depict the drama stemming from Sellers being slighted in favour of Welles by Princess Margaret during a visit to the set. In Sellers' biography, it suggests that he took the role of Bond to heart and was annoyed by the decision to make the film a comedy, which he wanted to play Bond straight. It's claimed that Sellers kept rewriting and improvising scenes to make them play more seriously. Sellers was absent for days or weeks at a time, refusing to appear with scenes with Orson Welles, and exited before all his scenes were shot. As a result, Sellers was unavailable for filming for the ending and other interlinking scenes, leaving filmmakers to devise a way to make the existing footage work without him. A framing device for a beginning and ending with Niven was created to salvage the material. Val Guest, who was given the task of creating a narrative thread which would interlink all the segments of the film, and he chose to use David Niven and Ursula Andress as linking characters. And I found Peter Sellers to be surprisingly bland in the film. He didn't really have any sort of character. So I think the actor himself wasn't put much into the film because he wanted to play the part seriously and they wouldn't let him. So he come across as really bland. One of the best castings having Woody Allen in.
Woody Allen is James Bond.
My doctor says I can't have bullets enter my body at any time.
I'm a big fan of Woody Allen. His films are great and he's great at comedy. And it was during the making of this film, with all the chaos that was happening, that Woody Allen decided he'd make his own films. So he started directing. So in a way, it's a good job he was in this film. So it inspired him to make his own films. Another good thing about the film is the women in it. They're all stunning. Ursula Andress never looked as better. She looks better in this film than she did in Dr. No. That was 5 years earlier. Also, Joanna Pettet's in the film. She plays Bond's daughter, and she's really good in it. She looks great. Orson Welles pops up as LeChef, and he's got X-ray specs on to cheat at cards. That's quite fun. So the film's not a total disaster. There is a few good points. I like the titles right at the beginning of the film. You say these splendid titles. And the music in the background's good as well. I like that. And it does have wonderful production values, the sets and the costumes and everything. The look of the film's great. It's on the same par as an official Bond film, actually. And best of all, I like the music. Burt Bacharach, he's great. And the song, The Look of Love, I thought that was really, really good. It worked well in the film.
The look
It deserved to have an Academy Award nomination. It's actually the best bit of the film. It doesn't take much. And it's interesting that Burt Bacharach pops up in the Austin Powers film, which incidentally, the Austin Powers films are more funnier than this. So 5 different directors contributed to the film. They all did sections of the film. And poor Val Guest, who was famous for his Hammer films, he had to put all the segments together and make the film a bit more coherent. So overall, for me, all this talent involved in the making of this film was all for nothing. It was all wasted. So it's a confusing, overblown film that's way too long, over 2 hours watching an unfunny film. For a spoof comedy film like this, it does one of the worst possible things that a comedy could do, and that's be unfunny. So you're watching a 2 hour plus unfunny film. It's more a curiosity piece, and this is the first time I actually watched it. So all the clips that I'd seen of the film must have put us off. So it was years and years until I finally got round to watching the whole thing for this review. Wish I hadn't bloody bothered. So for me, the only good thing about it was the Burt Bacharach score. So out of 10, I think I can only really give it a 3. 3 out of 10. And I'm being generous. What did you think, Bones? Did you enjoy it? Bah! I never bloody laughed once watching the bugger. Bloody load of old shit. Okay, buddy. Bye. Like, subscribe and share. Bye. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach.
What?